you come? Okay. ওই প্রথমে না না পার্শ্ববর্তী ঠাকুর এদিকে 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 যাও সামনে। Please present a flower bouquet to Professor Subroto Chattopadhyay. Ms. Dolon, please present a flower bouquet to Sanjay Singh, Professor Sanjay Singh from Guwahati University. So I request Boishaki to present a flower bouquet to Nivedita Madam. So thank you. So I request Professor Subroto Chattopadhyay to carry on the session, keynote speech.
A very good morning. When I was told by Dr. Shutradhar just the other day that I could have an opportunity of, being with you in this august company and also be in the company of my one-time very favorite joint, the National Digital Library, I was absolutely thrilled. I have the pleasant duty and privilege to introduce none other than Professor Partho Pratim Chakraborty. We call him PPC. He is known as PPC. This has been given to me, so I'll read it out, but he needs no introduction, and it's impossible to introduce such a luminary like PPC. Professor P.P. Chakraborty is going to present the keynote speaker today. He completed his B.Tech in 1985 and PhD in 1988 from the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, IIT Kharagpur. He joined the same department as a faculty member in 1988, actually the same year I also joined. So we have been here, PPC, for 3.5 decades together, and is currently a professor there. From July 2013 to June 2019, he was the director of IIT Kharagpur. Professor Chakraborty has made fundamental scientific contributions in the area of artificial intelligence and automated reasoning, and has applied the techniques to solve important synthesis, optimization, and verification problems, especially in VLSI design and embedded systems. His work has been peer recognized by several scientific awards and Best Paper prizes. He has published more than 250 papers in international journals and conferences, and supervised more than 24 PhD students. So here we have Professor P.P. Chakraborty.
Distinguished dignitaries on the dais, of the dais, and all the audience members. It's been a pleasure and honor for me to come back onto the forum of National Digital Library of India. And I had asked Dr. Shutrudhar, what will I say? He says, go and say whatever you want. So the first, can you close the door, please? Thank you. So I'll go back to 2014 end. The new government had taken up. There was a new minister. And she called all the 5 IIT directors, old IIT directors, and asked them, what can we do to bring about a change that will be a step jump in education in India, and whether the institutes can take those up as a cause. So I had given 5 proposals. The first of them was National Digital Library of India. The proposal was that in order to democratize education, use a digital platform, and provide access to each and every student initially, and then any form of learner. Could you please close the door? We needed to provide a platform where all material, especially those related to learning, from KG to PG, will be provided free of cost. The proposal was wholeheartedly accepted in principle. So now, having given a very boastful proposal, I came back dead scared. So then we collected a core group. My friend and colleague, Professor P.P. Das, who is here, I requested him to lead that. There were other members. Along with them was the then chairman of the Central Library, Professor Subroto Chattopadhyay, and obviously Dr. Shutrudhar. And our Central Library became the head of that. And there were several other people. And within 5 months, we developed a prototype. The initial target was that in the first year, we will get 5 lakh material to be accessed by all the top-tier institutions. Within the next 8 months, we had 20 lakh material ready. And we had about many institutions joining us. The problem was there was no budget. So when you go down into the ministry and you go bottom up into the budget, then everybody goes for review, all right, some file, big files are opened. I hope you are aware, na? Note sheet after note sheet, People will mark comments, this, that, what is the use, who will read it, is there any application, has there been anything like this before, etc., etc. Why don't we get somebody from elsewhere? So this went round and round and round. So finally I got access to the Honorable Minister, who said, what happened? I said, please come and see. So she saw it and she was very happy. And then she said that, what is it to be done? I said, it will be closed down next week. I said, why? He said, no budget, no money. So immediately in the next 5 days, we got an in-principle approval to spend money from the available budget at IIT Kharagpur, which would be replenished in due course. And that has been the long story, and I'm sure that you are aware of how important the National Digital Library of India is. Today we have 10 crore material accessed by a large body of people. And the beauty of it was the cooperation that we received from everyone. All institutions. So the core idea was that this is not going to be an IIT Kharagpur affair. This is going to be a collaborative affair. So we started writing to all institutions to become partners. And the response was overwhelming. 17 school boards gave all their material free. We have publishers, even IEEE and everybody else gave their catalogs free. And then we started getting institutions participating. It was a long effort by a large number of people who worked very hard. And among the team members, many of them are not here today, and they are very fondly remembered by me. The objective of National Digital Library was to become one of the legs of democratizing education by providing content and slowly targeted content so that it helps an individual person. During this whole flow, we evolved in many ways by getting feedback from a large number of people. The biggest challenge was engagement. Once a person has got what they wanted from the National Digital Library, why will they come back again? So, to enable engagement, several things happened, one of which was the NDLI club. And I believe that we have got about 5,000 plus clubs today, participating, acting, etc., etc. NDLI became a soft power for the country. Other countries found this to be the largest free educational digital library in the world. So Australia, Europe, USA, and several other national initiatives, private initiatives, all of them started working with us. The African nations wanted access to the National Digital Library. So the National Digital Library became India's UNESCO representative in education, especially for digital libraries. Obviously, over the years, many prizes were obtained, and a lot of laurels have been achieved. They have been achieved by tremendous hard work of people from top to the bottom. And then, through various cycles of reviews, we got some very, very good positive criticisms. We had chairmen of various review committees. And mind you, our whole process was not always hale and hearty. We got very powerful criticisms. And our approach was to positively address all of them. So how do we provide access? Whether the interface itself was not good enough. And slowly, slowly, how the interface started getting evolved into this platform. So today when we sit down and look at where we are and where we should go, the most important flashpoint in this period of when we started and where we went and where we are today is the flourishing use of artificial intelligence. And that has become a very, very important technology and tool which we should be able to utilize, because today we are providing information. Tomorrow, the evolving library should provide curated knowledge. This curated knowledge is going to be required by a large number of people. Obviously, students, and their primary purpose as of now is to do well in the exams. But that is not the primary purpose of education. But at least it is one of the key performance indicators of whether we have been able to impart education well. So that goes through the cycle of content delivery and evaluation. So in this whole cycle, the National Digital Library needs to evolve to become a major participant, not merely providing content, but also to use artificial intelligence for targeted delivery, recommendation, and focused, curated responses. Instead of just listing the list of books that are available, we really need to provide a very pointed answer with links and references to the content that is being asked for. And therefore, in my view, a digital library should now become more and more interactive and engaging, instead of just providing an answer to certain content. And therefore, artificial intelligence today, I'm sure all of you are aware, all of you must have already used ChatGPT, DALI, GPT-4, and Llama and everything else. So artificial intelligence today is able to write better books than humans. There has been a book on lithium-ion batteries, a reference book, published in 2019, just before the pandemic, which was the most authoritative reference book on lithium-ion batteries, produced completely by AI. And this AI did not have knowledge of lithium-ion batteries. It just used techniques. It used various kinds of AI techniques to synthesize this together. The second most important part of AI, which should become part of a digital interface and a library, is discovery. There has been a recent work which showed that AI read all papers up to 2009. just text of all papers, tables, figures, papers, etc., up to 2009, on thermoelectric materials. And just reading those papers, AI recommended that these are the 5 next materials that should be used to make the next level of thermoelectric materials. So again, to repeat, AI read up to 2009 and then it gave a recommendation. And this reading and recommendation was by an AI which used a technique called word to vec, and it just used deep learning techniques. It did not have any knowledge on thermoelectric materials. Of the 5 things that it recommended, the first 2 were developed by the human community, research community, in 2012. So this will give you an idea of the power of recommendation and acceleration of such technologies. So if this was provided in 2009, then the scientist would not have lost 3 years of research. The third, how many of you here are science students who have studied science? Good, that's enough. So, in a recent work, AI was given all the chemical reactions that was known. So it was given a list of 1 million chemical reactions and was asked to find a relationship between the elements in a tabular form. The most compact representation of the elements in a tabular form. Can you guess what it did, what it produced? It produced the periodic table. So this gives you an idea of its potential. On the other hand, it is still, there is a song which is very popular. Ye kacha hai, bachcha hai. It is still walking on infant feet. Therefore, it will make mistakes. The reason why it makes mistakes is not difficult to explain. It is just doing an interpolation on a million dimension or trillion dimension space. And any interpolation function, and this trillion dimension space does not have only numbers, it has images, text, video, etc., etc. And there are 2 types. One is the classification type, which is called the traditional AI for recognition and classification. The other is the synthetic type. The classification, you will get image, text, etc., and it will tell you that this is Maradona, and this is Alia Bhatt, and this is the song from here, etc. The other is synthetic, which will take a prompt and produce a text, image, video, movie, or whatever you want. And in each of these cases, one is called a forward interpolation, the other is the reverse interpolation. All that it does is the very, very sophisticated ways of doing this forward interpolation and reverse interpolation. One of them is called the traditional classification AI, and the other is called generative AI. And because any interpolation technique will have error, in mathematics we can classify the error of an interpolation technique. Here also in this million dimension space it will have error. And what is the name of the error that we are all getting scared about today? What do we call it? We call it hallucination of AI. It is just interpolation error. And the better and better we get around it, the better it becomes. So in order to democratize education and put the next level of a digital library, We must look at how this library will engage with the stakeholders in a much more intelligent manner. And that, I think, serves as the next level of opportunity for the National Digital Library of India. And for that, there are three things that people have to do, especially for India. The first is collaborate. I'll give you an example. If we want to make a herbarium of all kinds of leaves, flowers, and plants in India, all you have to do is get every school, every student who studies biology or anything else. So every student will click a photograph of a plant and a leaf and a flower, geotag it, label it, and upload it. I assure you, within 6 months, we will have for 50% of India's plant, fruits, animals labeled in different states of growth. This is collaboration. This can be done from the smallest school student, and if we are to utilize our demographic dividend, if we are to excite our own people, that is when we really have to use the maximal power of AI to build content that is India specific. Because most of the content is developed around Europe and other places. And even if you access most of the AI tools, you will see India-specific content is low. And you can extend this to doctors, to anything else that you want. The second is to create. All of us think that we will access the digital library and get input. COVID showed us that if we can ask teachers, student, anybody else to create content and have a mechanism to update that content and upload that content into the library, then on every subject, every teacher can become a content creator in the National Digital Library of India. Obviously, curation will be an effort, but today's modern AI will help you curate it in an excellent fashion. The third and the most important thing that we forget when we do digital libraries and digitization is the human contact. A library is not only meant for going and looking at books and content and material. If you go to our library here, it has many facets. All libraries have facets. One of the most important things of a library is interaction of people. So how does a national digital library enable interaction between a Russian student and an Indian student who will interact with each other, talk to each other, produce some content and add it to the library? This sort of human interaction is the next level that we must conceive of. We must also look at a physical location. By the time we get avatars and other people interacting, there is no alternative yet as to an interaction between two physical human beings. You must have heard that while reading a book, today we have audiobooks, our library has digital, NDLI has so many audiobooks, it will have video books, it will have readers who read books with you and interact with you. But I would propose that all of us together, we have some human people in libraries who read books to others. When human beings talk to each other about a book, about a content, about a material, then the interaction levels, the discovery levels are different. So to bring back the human-centric mechanism in a digital library, please do not make AI the centerpiece, the front end of the digital library. Let AI be the back end of the digital library. Let humans be the front end of a digital library. And therefore, I will advise and request all of you. Professor Sinha Mahapatra is here, Dr. Sutradhar is here, and so many of you are here to re-architect the next level and build it with the same passion so that we build a next generation, compassionate, intelligent, human-centric digital library. Thank you very much.
Thank you indeed, Professor P.P. Chakraborty. That was extremely illuminating. You so well gave a timeline of development of this NDLI, starting from 2014 with a mission to democratize education, to the shape that it has today taken up with more than 10 crore materials, and also being India's UNESCO representative in education. You also talked about the future when you said that now is the time to provide curated education knowledge. You emphasized on the role of AI, gave us brilliant examples of what AI could do, and also cautioned us about overemphasis and said very rightfully that it should take the backstage and not the front stage. So thank you very much indeed. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Actually, really, it was a very inspiring talk, and he can speak another 1 hour without interruption, but time is very limited. We have to accommodate many speakers present here. So I request Ms. Dolon to present a flower bouquet, and I request Professor Subroto Chattopadhyay to present a flower, sorry, memento to our director, former director, Professor PPC. So now I request Nina Saxena to please come on the dais. Niti Saxena, sorry. Niti Saxena is here. Yeah, please come on the dais.
We now have the pleasure of inviting Ms. Niti Saxena. She's a professional librarian who currently works as a senior manager in British Council India. She joined the British Council 35 years ago as a library trainee in Delhi, and now she leads the development of our digital library, which has, as we already said, more than 1 lakh members in over 30 countries across the global British Council network, and is constantly growing. Ms. Saxena's areas of research include digital library experience, product development of mobile applications, website content, web portal, digital walls, and any other technological innovations needed for digital library. Madam Saxena, you may please present your. And may I request all the participants to, stick to a limit of 10 minutes? Thank you very much.
नहीं वीडियो नहीं Is it visible? Yeah? Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Neeti Saxena, and I work for the British Council Libraries. And my focus area at the moment is about developing the digital libraries. And as we said, I have been a professional librarian, so been a part of the change that libraries have seen across the globe and have run through the journey. So today, in my presentation here, I would like to take you through the journey of what we have. And just wanted to acknowledge I am a proud member of the National Digital Library of India and use it extensively and do talk about it and take it as a reference as we are growing the Digital Library of the British Council. So we at the British Council, of course, is a cultural relations organization, an international United Kingdom's cultural relations organization, and the representation is in more than 100 countries and 6 continents. So we have a scope. We are now present in more than 40 countries, but yes, we are looking to expand further with the digital library. Of course, we have our organizational values that we have been hearing to incorporate about the equality, diversity, and inclusion as we move forward, and these are basic values around which all our services are growing. We have 3 physical libraries or physical spaces or centers of excellence in India, in Chennai, Kolkata, and Delhi, but our reach for the digital library, that's the British Council Digital Library, is in more than 200 cities. And in India, we have more than 25,000 active members. These are the people who have registered and use the library services. Of course, we are also talking about the digital library, our events, activities. So all our members have access to the events that are planned by the British Council. And some of them do happen in the physical premises in our 3 centers, but a large number of them are happening in digital spaces. So everybody, all our members have access to it. Of course, the beauty of the digital library as we speak, we have developed, and I'll speak a little more about the digital library app. But yes, you move as you go, or you take your library along as we move forward. So digital has that strength, and I think we are talking about taking digital with us as we move forward and keep on using for our digital spaces through the events and activities. And we are also talking of the content that is beyond books. So books, ebooks, audiobooks, movies, music, concerts, everything is a part of a digital library. So while we were talking about the experience, we as libraries, when the digital libraries grew, we started with expanding the physical space to digital spaces. So we started talking about e-content, e-books, audiobooks, and other material. But what we realized was, our users have an experience of a digital space. They are smart users. They have access to, they are talking or looking at a digital library space in competition with other digital content that they have access to. So to say, they have TV channels, they have all this Hotstar and all. So all the time the competition or the request has been why the library journey is not similar to or so seamless as, other digital content that's available or they have access to, and they are young audience. So we are working towards it, but yes, we realized a large area came in when we introduced the digital library app a couple of years ago, which allows us the flexibility to expand and to introduce new services as we move forward. And it gave us strength, it gave us a better interface, and it gave us certain things that we, our younger audience or the audience in the academics, they look for. Not everything, we are still behind, we have a long way to go, but yes. So just to give you a space in terms of our, the British Council Digital Library has access to more than 7,000 newspapers from more than 100 countries and in approximately 69 languages. And we do give access, as I said, about audiobooks, ebooks, and we do have a collection. We were talking about the audience. Here our audience starts at the age of 5, so from KG to PG and beyond. So, we have the grandparent and a grandchild walking into a digital space. Of course, there are child protection things that we have to be cautious about, and we do take all the necessary things so that child protection is taken care of. So we have children's collection, we do, have academic collection. There are, I would say 70% of our audience belong to the academic field who have just started their early education, I would say 18 plus, who have just joined a college, to professionals who maybe, to the postgraduate and the professionals who are in the early stages of their career, and they look forward to the library. And some of them, as they leave the college, may or may not have access to the library. So we do have some training content for them where they can use the videos to upgrade their skills. And of course, there are events or training programs that are organized. And British Council globally does a lot of research which are in the English language and also in some parts in the local languages of the country. So our digital library also gives access or provides access to that content which is British Council generated or British Council research content. Just to add to that, a large part of the British Council content is research content is available through the National Digital Library of India. So we have this partnership with an NDLI to give access to the British Council generated content. We tried to, when we were looking about, and I'll take you forward, when we were trying to design the digital library app, the ambition was that it should be attractive, it should be clean, and it should have all the features which will invite the younger audience. And even it's simpler for people who are in the senior age group. So it should be friendly for everyone. Talking about some of the features that were introduced as a part of the app was around voice command search, which is available in other platforms. And this added people with people who can't write or read, or they can use the voice modules to do the searches. Of course, it makes it more friendly, and our younger audience is used to it. So we introduced this feature as a part of our app. Then, of course, text-to-speech. So anything that a user saves to their profile, and it's in the mobile app, that can be used from text-to-speech. And again, people with reading disabilities or with reading challenges can use the text-to-speech feature in the mobile app. Then we do have features, where we try to do the contrasting and other features which are available for users to read. And when I'm saying this, these features are available on the mobile app because of the flexibilities or the technology available. We do have a web application where people can use it on their laptops, most of the services, but some of these features are key to the mobile app. moving forward, there are certain new features which have been recently added. We were talking about, curating the material for the audience or trying to highlight the collection because, when you walk into a library space, it is good to see the collection, but in digital spaces, generally it's a challenge. So how do we bring it up front? We do try to curate and create monthly themes, or sometimes we call it, we do still call it a monthly theme, but there are 4 to 5 themes that runs across because we are across so many countries. And at times, there are themes which comes in, which are the international days, celebrations and collections and other publications which we as libraries would like to highlight. So, we're trying to create, curate, and make it more inviting with some pictures and videos which comes in as you open the app. So these are some of the new features that we have tried to. In addition to what the features which are developed as a part of the app, there are also features which comes as a part of the subscription because we, as a library, has a content which is content curated by the organization, that's British Council, but we do subscribe to the paid content from third parties. And there are certain features like text-to-speech, translation services, which are on offer and can be used, but some of them could be specific to particular service. So translation services, audiobooks, as you move, you can listen to, you can download to. And of course, our audience, as we speak, we say, we start from a younger age group of 5 and above to age is not the limit. And, we all go through that journey in life and want to be engaged with the library. And that's how, we want to continuously engage with our communities. How do we engage with our communities? Of course, we do keep feedback. We keep focus groups. So far, the focus groups were only in the physical spaces, but yes, being digital, growing digital, I'm sure some of you, maybe the members, will get that access. If you're not in a space where we have a physical library, we will take the opportunity to interact and engage with you. And then, of course, there is a lot of data that we, as librarians, have access to about the usage and the databases. We are, trying to evaluate that data, and in the previous session, we were talking about the usage using AI to promote and to engage with the community, and we'll take every opportunity. We did speak about the digital library wall, which are installed at partner universities or partner institutions, and that gives access to some of the content that's available with the British Council Digital Library. I think I'm just getting a signal that I have covered the time, but yes, I'm around for some more time. If you have any questions, anything, please feel free. Thank you so much. Thanks for this opportunity. Thank you.
Madam, you please come here. We have to elicit it. Sir, is it? Madam and Uttariya. We want to start there. তুমি আগে ওটা দাও। I request Professor Chattopadhyay to present a memento to Niti Madam. Thank you. এই ফটোগ্রাফার ছেলেটা কোথায়? তুই ফটো নিচ্ছিস না? মোবাইলে তো নিতে পারিস।
Thank you very much, Madam, for giving us such a illuminating talk. Our next speaker has come all the way from Russia. So can we put our hands together for our next speaker? He is Dr. Viktor Snichkov. He is appointed as a senior bibliographer at All Russia Library for Foreign Literature, Russia. His academic credentials are MA Linguistics, Moscow Information and Technology University, Moscow Architecture and Construction University. His major contribution is he's working on several projects like digital collection of inscriptions from the books of Ivanikov. Viktor Snichkov has been also working in Inostranka since April 2022 and will share his experience with all of the honorable participants of NDLI International Symposium. So we welcome Dr. Snichkov.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me today. I'll try to be as swift as possible because I can talk about that for the rest of the day, trust me. Anyways, and I hope we're going to get the presentation. But let's start nonetheless, I guess, because my time... with my time, by the way, 10 minutes, right? Oh, okay. So, I'm going to talk about the experience and the projects of our library. And the name of our library, for short, is Inostranka, which means the foreigner, but in female form, doesn't matter. So we are a collective of professionals, and we have expertise in multiple fields. Fields start from arranging the bookshelves that all the libraries do, to producing the actual book. We do that sometimes. What exactly do? We actually have two missions. The primary mission for us as the library is to store, to select, and to protect books. And we do that for at least 100 years, right? The library was founded in 1921, as far as I remember. And our overall So we have about 3.5 million books. That's a lot, and we are constantly trying to enhance our collection to provide our people with the most important foreign literature, both fictional and non-fictional, and so on and forth. So yeah, that's the second file. Oh, no, it's there. Okay, so. Thank you. Yeah, so we can move to the next slide. So today we are a federal center for pretty much everything connected with the foreign culture, but also we have the other mission to be sort of like we have to be a center for the foreign cultures to interact with us, to us with interact with the foreign cultures, and so on and forth. And we have to become international a humanitarian hub, so that people can share ideas constantly. But also we have a second mission, which is nonetheless important. We have to share with the rest of the world what we can do in our culture, what we can, so we basically have to share our culture with the rest of the world. And we also have to promote our culture and our language, because that would just make you understand us better, and through us you can understand yourself, and through you we can understand you all. I think that makes sense. So we also bound to the community that we have around the library, and this is the community of the local people. So we provide all sort of library services to our people, and we're also trying to create a space for people to feel comfortable in. That also includes a children program, for example. That includes a speaking club, all sort of language courses. I'm currently working on several language courses and a speaking club. So books to masses is one of the Soviet-era slogans that we used in our library many, many years ago, but I'm trying to re-implement it right now so that it would give you the idea of what we're actually doing right now with the books. So we are just scanning it and we store it on our website, and our team does it daily, and through the year they can scan up to 400,000 pages, and after several years of work we have about 17,000 books that are digitalized. And the oldest book is dated back to 1502. It's a Latin a manuscript that is like the oldest book in our collection. This book is available on our website. You can go to libfl.ru and you can check it out. Here's the name. If you're interested, you can write it down, check it out. I'll leave this for the interested ones to write it down. So yeah, we're also invested in all sorts of conference and so on and forth. There's the photo with the young gentleman in turban. The photo was taken this year on the conference dedicated to preserving and restoring the books. So basically, before we scan the books, we actually have to restore them, because some of them are not in a very good condition. And that actually gave me an idea, because there was a mention of that paper cannot be saved. Yeah, that's true. It can be saved in a digital format, but our practice and our experience shows that even the digital format can be damaged or lost, or you can just run out of service, or you can just run out of space on your hard disk. That happens a lot. So we are doing like 50-50. We store the paper copy and we store the digital copy, and we do that for each and every book that we have digitalized. So that also refers to the new books that we get every month. We are also focused a lot on broadcasting our events. There has been more than 6,000 broadcasts, and I mean there were lectures and seminars and workshops recorded and stored on our platform, stored on YouTube everywhere where it is possible so that people have access to this kind of content. And in my opinion, this content is also valuable and can be used as a source of information, because there always has been an oral tradition among the people. So you know that many books have been recited in oral forms for hundreds of years, such as Odyssey, such as Iliad, such as Bhagavad Gita, such as Bible, and so on and forth. So that's why we see those things as one of the ways to protect something that was never written down. I think this is important as well. So yeah, this is our platform. This is our website. This is our channel on YouTube, and we can upload pretty much everything that we broadcast and record. So we have also focused on podcasting for several months. It all started with one program that is called which is called Biblia Kitchen on YouTube. But then we moved to several other projects. I'm going to talk about them. So we moved to the pure podcasting experience. One of the programs is called Conversation with Lao Tzu. It's basically a talking show, right? When we discuss things about library, how we work, what we're interested in, and so on and forth. And the other program is called What Do Librarians Talk About, which is self-explanatory, but it focuses mostly on books and the book culture. Here are the links. If you're interested, you may take photos of these QR codes and go and check it out yourself. It's in Russian, so if you speak Russian, that will be good. If you don't, I'm sorry. I will figure out to maybe make a podcast in English so everyone in the world would be able to listen to it. Here's the one podcast. Here's the other podcast. What do the librarians talk about? And here's the last podcast, Conversations with Lao Tzu. So now we're going to talk about our international project. One of the biggest international projects that we have here is World Bilingual Library of Contemporary Literature. To be short and precise, we just take a text of some author that lets us take it, and we ask people to translate it in their language. For example, the book with an owl, it was translated into 4 languages. As far as I remember, it was translated into English, Belarusian, Serbian, and Macedonian. So we have all of those texts in these books. Right, and also we are looking forward to work with the Indian students and translators and interpreters on the next stage of this project. Cultural Ambassador School is the next a project that we were focused on. It's an educational project for young people who want to get into international relationship, and we just teach them what to do, what not to do, how to understand people of the other culture, and so on and forth. So yeah, we are developing these projects. More information could be found on our website. We have the English version, and the last project I'm going to talk about today is the Young Translators School project, which is interconnected with our multilingual book project. So we basically take people and we invite experts in the field of this particular language to sort of teach those people how to use the language in the translation. And this is sort of like a series of master classes and workshops. Thank you for your attention. Feel free to ask any questions after. Thank you very much. Oh, okay.
I request Deepanita to present a flower bouquet to our guest and also a Utturiya. এই সামনে এসো সামনে এই কাম করো মোমেন্ট করো ফটো বরাবর করি ফটো নেই না এখান থেকে So I request our Professor Subro Chattopadhyay to present a memento. Thank you. Thank you. Sir, next speaker.
Thank you very much, Victor. Our next speaker is Dr. C. Jaikumar. He is a librarian at IIT Roorkee. Dr. Jaikumar is a distinguished name in the LIS field. His areas of interest include library management, electronic information, resources and planning, online searching, discovery, tools and techniques, information literacy instruction, user education, usage, statistics, and scholarly communication. So Dr. Jaikumar.
So 10 minutes.
Thank you, Professor Subrata Chattopadhyay, for a nice introduction. On the outset, I take this opportunity to thank IIT Kharagpur and Dr. Sutradhar and also NDLI for organizing such a wonderful conference, bringing all peers together and expert in teaching and practicing librarians. Today I'd like to share a few points with respect to digital literacy and reference service to the research community where LIS professionals can play a vital role as a teacher. I'm Jaikumar, librarian IIT Roorkee. The building what you're seeing at the bottom is the iconic building of IIT Roorkee, which is called Thompson College, which was established in 1847. Then it has become a university in 1947. Then 2001 it has become a IIT. So most welcome to visit our institute and library. In library we have got a separate archival section where we preserve few of the very rarest document. One of the rare document we consider as Shakespeare's first folio published in 1623. We are just preserving and keeping it there. Now this year Shakespeare's first folio they are celebrating 400th year, right? So you're most welcome. Yeah. Today, I just, with respect to digital competence framework, when I was just looking at Wales, UK, they're given some few guidelines with respect to what is expected to be competent enough to manage the in digital environment which is existing now, and also how to manage the future also. There, the few first social media responsibility is very important, both for the contributor and also the user. We should know what is our responsibility lies when we share any information in digital social media. And also as a user, we have to follow strict guidelines and without violating any other matters. And also, while we should also able to evaluate online behavior, and with respect, we also have to be very aware and follow guidelines with respect to copyright and fair use when we handle in digital environment. And whenever possible, we have to provide attribution or citation properly. And the expertise and competence is required in using and managing various tools with respect to file formats or storing in various medias. And also search and researching capability is very much required so that you can get, anyway, as a AI at the back end, we can just get relevant thing by following the efficient way of retrieving information. It will be very useful. And also, they have to be very expertise in domain-specific software platforms or application tools is required. It differs from subject to subject, so they have to be very much aware and competent enough to manage those software platforms, application platform, which will be useful for their academic and research career. And also, we also should know how to use indexing and referencing tools very efficiently. And report writing and citations are very important once you are in research and academic area. And problem solving and modeling, a lot of tools are available for individual subject. We have to be very expertise. We should be aware and make use of it to the best use of it. And data mining and analytics is an important thing in the event of, with the available of AI tools, we should know how to retrieve right information and then put the things in place. When I was just looking at this digital competency framework, my memory goes back to that is a decade old. The information literacy competency standards set by Association of American College Research Library. So with respect to it, they set 5 standards and also associated performance indicator, where some of the rules 2 and 3 are very much relevant to information professional, where they can become a master of various information sources and transfer the knowledge to the scholars, how efficiently and efficiently it can be searched, kind of thing. In that respect, I'm just sharing few points where being a list professional, the young professional, you can play an important role to empower the researcher as a self-reliant in various areas. A few representative example I'm just showing here, where you can try to learn about it, because every 3 months there are a lot of development is going on in various research platform or subject publishers platform. We should be aware of that and bring it to their notice. And every research platform provides it gives access to IP based. Anyone can search and get the subscribed content. But every platform provides a user to create their own ID and password to get a personalized alert services. So that has to be inculcated. And apart from that, there are various reference management platforms we should be get trained and then transfer the knowledge to the young researcher in the beginning stage itself, so that it will be very useful. It will save a lot of their time in the course of time during the research or report writing, thesis writing. Like Mendeley, EndNote, Zotero, some of the software tools. And we have to make them aware at the beginning itself to have a unique ID like ORCID. They should get popularized with that. They should have unique ID. It will be very useful to identify themselves when they write their papers, and the organization also get the mapping will be done properly. And there are various journal finding platform. I'll just show in the next slide as a tool which we can educate or make them aware, which will be useful for the scholars especially. And at the same time, the citation metrics, as you know, Eugene Garfield has devised long back, but still it stays citation that counts, because everywhere, even with metrics, they just look at the research productivity and also the impact in terms of citations. And there are for and against the citation and number game is going on, but still it matters a lot. So we also should make them aware what is H index, and within subject databases there are quartile classification within particular subject Q1, Q2, how it has been devised by various subject categories in 2 major databases. And also with respect to OEA and DAIA, OER, Open Education Resources, I think separate session is happening there. And we also bring you to the notice the guidelines by Sherpa project, like Romeo and Juliet. Romeo gives the author's rights guidelines provided by the thing. Juliet is a funder's expectations. And there's another service also recently they introduced is a fact, which compares the funder and journal requirement. Before publishing, what kind of open access permission the funder gives with respect to particular journal. Those detailed, I think we have to transfer to the research scholars in time so that it will be useful. They should be very clear about what extent they can share their preprint or postprint in their own web server, their own website, or organizational website, or subject-specific archives. Those things are very important. And also, we should, they'll be familiar, we have to make them with the similarity check platforms like Turnitin, Drillbit, etc. And Grammarly is maybe very useful for them. And apart from traditional journals, articles, and book chapters, everything, other few sources are very important for fraternity, especially engineering fraternity, like standards and patents. I think this is very important. We have to make them and guide them how efficiently these resources can be searched apart from ETDs, electronic thesis and definition, thesis and dissertations. And with this respect, I think IIT Roorkee has got a close association with the NDLI from the beginning because we have nearly 14,500 thesis and dissertation, around 12,000 dissertation or archival dissertation at full text form. It's available on our website directly to everybody, but limitation is only it's viewable or readable. Okay, it has been, yeah, yes please, thank you. So those things are available and they just harvested, it's accessible through them also. And apart from that, these ranking frameworks exist in national and international area like NAR of THE, QS, FT for management. Those awareness is very much important being a library information professional and apart from few soft skills. Now, I'll just look at, yeah, there are few journal finding platforms which are available which we have to educate our scholars by using Scopus subject-wise or site score. And there are, Scopus also provides journal finder where they can cut and paste their abstract. It will give guidelines which what are the possible journals they can submit. And Clarivate also provide master journal list and EndNote manuscript matcher. There is a IEEE publication recommender. It's limited to IEEE publications so that they can put their full text or abstract, it will give them thing. And Jane is for medical literature platform. And Springer journal listing, earlier they used to suggest journals, and now they are not doing it, only browsing is available right now, right? And final slide, as a list professional, I think you can play an important role as a teacher by making a lot of awareness and training session. And most important thing is personalized reference support is required. Hand-holding is will be very useful for the research scholars. And reference service and response and research and feedback is very much important. And so I request all the young professionals to explore the opportunities, continuously interact with the faculty and research scholars to understand what exactly they need and what best we can do that. And train the trainer. You can train the research scholars. And compliments to the practitioners and best wishes to the young list professionals here. Enjoy rendering service, always with a smile. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you. Sir, Professor, please come. So I request Navanita to present a flower bouquet and then Utturiya. Come, sir, here. So I request Professor Chattopadhyay to present a memento. Come, sir. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. The next, last one. Please sit.
The last speaker for our this session is Tanveer Hassan. Tanveer Hassan is the Executive Director of the Center for Internet and Society. Previously, he worked at the Wikimedia Foundation, leading global alliances for the free and open knowledge movement and resource allocation in South Asia. He's also an assistant professor at the Center for Indian Languages in Higher Education at the Tata Institute of Social Sciences. So here we have Tanveer Hassan.
Nice, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm very aware that I'm the one that is holding you from lunch, so I'm going to keep it as short and as brief as I can. Also, for an organization that I represent which has internet in its name, I'm going to go full pen and paper. I don't have a PPT, I don't intend to show slides, but I do intend to spark off a conversation. The first question that I have in my head is, what am I doing in a conference or a symposium that has LIS professionals, because I'm not a librarian. The answer to me is that I and Professor Parthapratim Das have had some very, very good conversations about what is the architecture of a digital library, how do you imagine a digital library. That was one of the most beautiful conversations that we engaged in Delhi when Professor Das had invited us. The other question that or the other reason why I think that I'm here is to talk about values of a library system that one observes when you're not part of the profession, when you're not part of that setup and system. And I want to point out a couple of things. There is a lot of tension when you talk about an institutional library and a digital library. I want to point out that digital library is not new to us. The digital has always been part of the way that we have been working. What has been new is the attention that it has gathered, the synergy that has come. You have conversations around the big data, you have conversations around AI, you have conversations about machine learning. All of these things are happening together to create a constructive energy around practices of library, practices of information sciences. That seems to be the new thing. Because as librarians, and some of you are librarians that probably were librarians 30, 40 years now, you all remember that we all digitized. There were microfilms that we did. There was a very different kind of a digitization that happened. So I don't think that the word digitization should in any way scare us, should in any way throw an existential challenge. The categorization that an institutional library versus digital library is a very wrong categorization. The objectives of a library, whether it is institutionalized or whether it is digitized, are still the same. It's the process that you think about. It's the new way of engagement. It's not that the digital library will do X, Y, and Z, and an institutionalized library will do 1, 2, and 3. There are going to be synergies, and it is upon us to discover what those synergies are. The future of a digital library essentially and inherently depends on three things. The first one is the whole question of access. Who gets to access the digital library? Because all said and done, digital is still a mark of privilege. Digital is not equitable in its inherent composition. So what a library does or what a community does is to ensure that access is made more open, access is made more equitable. The second way in which a digital library can operate functional and operate in a very meaningful way is its multifunctional operability, or what you call in simple terms discoverability. If all of us have digital library platforms, if all of us have platforms that are independent and are not talking to each other, now this talking or this conversation can happen at a very, very easy level of sharing of metadata, sharing of catalogs, of building of new and independent ways of collaboration. But it should happen. If you're creating something and you're holding it to yourself, saying that this is a niche area of work, or this is a way that we are going to try and build this particular point of reference, then it is not going to survive. It is still going to be a subset of the larger conversation that you want to have around access, you want to have around utility. The final pillar, which is important for the digital libraries to imagine and to grow, is what credibility does it bring? Because it's very easy to think of a library as a repository of information. It's difficult to think of users as credible users. With every usage you have, with every interaction you have, a library should be able to build an institutional credibility to itself. So if you think of these three founding questions or founding values, there is a way that digital libraries can transcend this very imminent, very urgent question of what is the future of our library? Our future of library is safe as long as we keep invested in it, as long as we think of it as an investment. Just to move the conversation ahead, there are 6 key areas or 6 key stakeholders that every library, whether it is digital, whether it is community, whether it is institutionalized, has to take care of. The first and foremost is the field of practitioners, which is all of you, the librarians. If the librarians are going to continue in the same imagination of custodians of knowledge and curators of knowledge, I think it is going to be very difficult because the demand of knowledge has changed, because the way that we interact with knowledge has changed. The second stakeholder that is equally important in this conversation is the community that you're going to engage. Professor Parthapratim Chakravarti in his conversation very beautifully pointed out that there's a difference between a learner and a reader. There's a difference between a learner and a researcher. There are different ways in which people are looking for information, for knowledge, for curated content. How does an organization that intends to work with knowledge repositories or with knowledge questions cater to all of those questions is a very key thing. The other stakeholder that is very important, or the other pillar that we have to establish at digital library conversations for sustainability is data. And I'm not talking about a very simple data of who logs in and who logs out. It's again a very intuitive conversation about what are the trends that you're looking at? What are the ways in which some of these conversations develop? Do these conversations have a future? Does this particular engagement have a future if I build a vertical on top of it? And this is how a lot of big tech is happening. The reason why the big tech is so charming and is so endearing to all of us is because it grows. It grows on a scale that we would want other technologies also to grow. The other important stakeholder in this is the institutional wisdom or the institutional commitment. For all of the conversations that you can have about technology as to this should be done and that should be done, it's very important to have an institutional house to say, or an institutional platform to say that we will do these things in this particular timeline. This is our 3-year plan. This is our 5-year plan. This is a 6-month plan. However you want to do it. If you don't have these conversations in an institutional setup, then all of these are going to be good ideas. And we are not short of good ideas. All of us have a lot of good ideas. The last and the key stakeholder in this conversation is that the digital library, or for that matter the institutional library, community library, cannot thrive on its own. Gone are those days when libraries were independent institutions. You have partners, you have a lot of collaborators. Think of the GLAM community, think of the open data community, think of the open access community. There are many, many ways in which these conversations are happening. And I think it's high time that we bring those synergies together. And I say this with a lot of pride because I also work with an open source community called the Wikisource community, which is aspiring to be one of the free digital libraries that can bring a lot of open text, out of copyright text into the conversations. I'll end my conversation by just pointing out 3 challenges which all of us have to take into account and then plan for a future, plan for a strategic future. The first one is that technology is expensive. If anybody says that we can build a world-class platform in a very limited budget, they're lying to us. I mean, they might be doing it out of goodwill. They might want to say that, no, this dream is possible. But let's be very clear and very sure that technology is very expensive. When you see Facebook operating seamlessly, when you see YouTube coming up with many, many skins, many, many technological advancements to it, there is a lot of money being invested in it. So let us not be afraid of a conversation that equates knowledge with resources. We shy away from that conversation. It's like, oh, we are librarians, how can we think about money? Or we are institutional repositories of knowledge, how do we talk about money? You're not talking about commerce, you're not talking about business, you're talking about resources. Technology is very expensive and it needs a significant investment. If that investment comes from institutions, great. If that investment comes from state, amazing. If that investment comes from individual philanthropists, why not? But it is a conversation that we should actively begin to have. That's the first challenge. The second challenge is that you should also recognize that institutional decisions are not always strategic. There are points when institutes have to take decisions, state has to take decisions, organizations have to take decisions that are very tactical in nature, which might be able to just solve a quick problem, but does not really contribute to the strategic growth. So what do you do then? You have a plan B, you have a collaboration, you have a network, you think about how do you pivot from that point. That again is a very important conversation for institutions to have. The last point that I want to remember and I want to point out as a challenge is the fact that please remember that there is a very different or a very mismatched pace between the growth of technology, the growth of a policy, and the growth of a culture. When we talk about libraries, when you're talking about reading, when we're talking about research, it's a culture, it's not technology. So the technology can grow very, very quickly. Tomorrow you might have 10 other things that can come, dazzle us and say, here is a plugin, here is an option, here is a new interface, here is a new website. But for that technological change to translate into a policy change, you are going to take time. And institutions have to back us up. Institutions have to back communities. Institutions have to back library and information science professionals. That commitment is required. And finally, the change of the culture. When you have the tech change, when you have the policy change, and you ultimately come to a point where you're talking about a cultural change, the change in which we are looking at libraries, the change we are looking at reading, the change we are looking at how we share resources. All of these conversations are possible if you think about it at a strategic level. If you think about it at an operational level of, let's build one platform, or let's take one journal, for example, or let's have one example to think of as, our KPI. I don't think it's a very constructive conversation to have. Absolutely the last thing that I will say, and then I'll stop, is that the equation of culture of reading to culture of progress is not a wrong equation. It is a very, very important value to have, that when you read, that when you discuss, that when you are debating, you will grow, you will progress. What is problematic is the simplistic examples of saying that here is the classical imagination of a library and here is a new imagination of library. They're not speaking to each other. They will speak to each other if we become the rapporteurs. They will speak to each other if we ask those questions and if we create those conversations. All of this to say that when an open community, and I am a big advocate for open communities, when you have an open community that works in the GLAM sector, when you have galleries, libraries, archives, and museums, which are willing to put out its content in open, when you not only have the receiving model, usually the libraries that we imagine is in the very receptive model, that here are 10,000 books or 1 lakh books or 10 lakh books, depending upon the size of the library, you're receiving knowledge. But there is also an addition model, where a community adds, where an individual adds, where a thinker adds, where a researcher adds. Let's move towards conversations of what that additional model to the library systems are. And that, I think, is the best way to answer, or rather to think about this theme of our conference, which is the sustainable development of libraries. On that note, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Okay, I request Dolan. Sir, please come. I request all the co-chairmen and then rapporteur, please come on the dais. Hey, sir. I request Professor Chattopadhyay to present in my end. Yeah, now you. So we have come to close this first session, and I really thankful to our professor, my beloved professor, Professor Chattopadhyay. He was our former chairman, and I worked with him for a long time. And when the NDLI started, he was the chairman. We worked together, and we have a very good relation. So with my request, he has come, spent from morning 10 to still 1 o'clock. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you. I also thank Sanjay, Dr. Professor Sanjay Singh. He has come all the way from Guwahati, spending time with us. He will be staying with us for another 2 days. And Nivedita madam, I requested her to be a rapporteur general. Initially, she was accepting, but she told that there is a Jagadatti Puja. She has to go. So, anyway, so you have spent 1 day with us. Thank you very much. So I request Namonita to present a memento to. No, also I request PPD sir, please come on the dais. And present a memento to Nimodita madam. Come the front. Sir, थोड़ा front. आपका उत्तरीय कहाँ है? उत्तरीय कहाँ है? क्या है? तो एक दे दो इधर. हाँ, it should be. किसी का मोबाइल से ले सकता है? किसी का मोबाइल नहीं है? Thank you. So, Professor Sanjay Singh ji, please come. Sir, another one. Sir, ये थोड़ा आज छठ पूजा भी है ना? Sir, be there. So, lastly, I request our Professor Chattopadhyay. Professor Chattopadhyay, please come. Oh, you have good. One more. Sir, oh. Very nice. Wonderful. Big hand, please. Special moment. Thank you. And this memento is as personalized. Sir, this memento is a personalized memento. Your photo is there. Yeah. Oh, we have a photo. प्रोडक्ट प्रेजेंटेशन है अभी दो तो है ये प्रोडक्ट प्रेजेंटेशन आफ्टर लंच होगा थैंक यू सो नाउ वी विल प्रोसीड लिसन देयर इज सम अनाउंसमेंट नाउ वी आर गोइंग फॉर लंच सो लंच इज ओनली 45 मिनट्स so after that there is a Gargi auditorium just beside so all the session now onwards it will be organized in the Gargi and Moitri auditorium. Thank you very much. Thank you. So join with us with the lunch. Say it,